coming home track is something for us. Like obviously, you know, it's a great pleasure to be able to work with an artist who's as big as Rita, who's obviously got such an amazing vocal. And it was a track that we originally wrote with some friends of ours, TMS, and a top line writer called Wayne Hector.
Yeah, I mean the Roundhouse show was kind of, I don't know, it was definitely like one of the high points of the tour, and I think it's probably the best gig we've ever done, really, because it was quite an emotional thing, because we put so much time and effort into getting where we are now, and to have the sort of people and talented artists turning up and sort of vocaling on the tracks that we've written with them, and seeing like 2,500 people, you know, loving it. I mean, it's kind of just, it merges everything we've done together, and it kind of really gives you that feeling of we've actually achieved something. So it was a definite moment. We both met at university in Leeds. We both weren't really studying that much, and I was kind of running drum and bass parties, and Joe was a hip hop DJ back then, and I booked him to play in one of the back rooms, and he was kind of like headlining the back room, and we just kind of realised that we were into very similar types of music. Joe had a studio at the time, and he was making pretty awful, you know what I'm saying? Terrible music. And he kind of started to teach me how to write terrible tracks as well.
We wrote loads of terrible tracks together,
and we still are, which is good. But yeah, so yeah, we kind of met at Leeds, and when we left university, I started working for a drum and bass agency looking after like the likes of Chasing Status and Pendulum, like their flights. And then we just kept in touch and got in the studio and started to make noise.
In terms of studio time, it's really ambiguous as to which track we're kind of talking about. I mean, I think there's definitely like an equal input in terms of like creative kind of elements. I think in terms of like the way we work is we have two separate studios, because in that respect we can be more productive, and obviously we live at opposite sides of the country. So yeah, when Cam's in Manchester, he's in the studio, when I'm at home, I'm doing the same thing. And then when we kind of get the finished tracks, we come back and then we'll mix it in my studio, kind of get it all mastered.
Yeah, all the final mix downs are done in Joe's studio. He's got the mastering ears, so that's why everything sounds like Sigma.
Geeky.
Just a big mega geek. Our whole lives, well, leading up to this point, well, not our whole lives, I guess our musical career leading up to this point has been leading up to this point. So, you know, this album sort of captures everything we've done to get here, really. And you know, we thought the album title, there's no better word than the word life, because at the end of the day, it's everything we've been doing. We wake up every morning, we think about music. You know, we go to bed and think about music. It's like it's on our minds all the time, 24/7. And I think, you know, one of the things to be successful in the music industry, you really have to. Music has to be your life, and it just ran through for us.
I think like working with these kind of really big vocalists has obviously opened our eyes up to a whole kind of different side of the industry, because from us obviously just being like club DJs and turning up and playing at like dingy little pubs and bars, which was obviously where we started, to now obviously playing on the main stage at Glastonbury with all these like really massive acts, it's a whole different side to the industry. So in some respects we've learned a lot in terms of obviously with the music, making it sound slightly different ways, so it kind of fits with all that stuff. And also I think just with the kind of attitude and learning about working with other big artists who potentially might have egos, or you know, like you don't want to rub people up the wrong way. So yeah, we've learned a lot.
We're very aware of obviously the fact that recently we've been making, you know, tracks which are seen as commercial tracks, and I guess, you know, more popular and being played on the radio and stuff. So I mean, obviously our roots are drum and bass, and we've come from the underground drum and bass scene, so we wanted to obviously put tunes in there that we could play out in our DJ sets, which we do. So there's about 3 or 4 tracks in there which you know, jungle tracks or just heavy straight up dancehall drum and bass tracks. So yeah, there's a good mix in there.
So it's never something that you're just going to adapt to instantly. So I mean, obviously we've had a bit of time for it to soak in and stuff, and I think it starts to feel a little bit more real. But I mean, it still is just a bit of a roller coaster, you know. For us, it was quite an important record, because obviously, you know, Nobody to Love was a remix of another track. And for us to obviously follow it up with the next single, to kind of for us to be seen as like serious musicians, I think it worked perfectly. And you know, the fact that it went to #1 and Paloma was on it as well, it couldn't have actually come around a better way.
It's quite important for us as well to come back with a record that, like Joe said, it wasn't obviously a remix or a bootleg, but wasn't just another drum and bass record, and we wanted to do something which had live instruments, and we recorded a choir and orchestra and full, like, you know, we did the whole thing. And I mean, for us it was like, well, for me personally, it is my favourite tune that we've written, because I mean, even now we play in the live sets, I mean, you can pretty much play that tune for an hour and people still sing it. I find it quite amazing.
It's great. A few that to just mention quickly would obviously be, you know, main stage of Glastonbury with Paloma, probably getting nominated for the Brit Awards.
Yeah, playing for BBC Awards. Remix. We did a remix ages ago of a guy called Roscoe, who's quite a big dubstep guy, a couple of years back now, I think.
Yeah.
And there's a remix called Somebody to Love randomly. Yeah, that was kind of, I guess it was a bit career defining, because I mean on YouTube and stuff it's had like 7 million plays, and obviously it's massive, but yeah, I think that was a moment where we kind of realised we were starting to get a sound together.
Yeah, there was another track that we did called Painted Black that Annie Mac played for like, I swear she played for 6 months, like every week on the radio show. It was unsigned at the time.
The hospital.
Yeah, and the hospital only stopped. We actually sent it to hospital about 6 months before as a demo, but they just weren't interested. And then suddenly, like Annie Mac started playing, and they were like, "We signed it." We said no at first, didn't we? Like that. Right. So yeah, I mean that was another moment for us because obviously, you know, getting our radio played by like a kind of semi-specialist, semi-mainstream DJ, that was definitely pretty epic for us. Oh right, yeah, 2016, obviously, you know, much more of what we've been doing already. We're going to be touring a lot, we're going to put a couple of singles out of the album, and just work on some new materials.
I think it's really important, just in anything you do in life, generally in life, is that you just enjoy what you're doing. You know, at the end of the day, you can wake up every morning and you know, go to a job where you're not earning that much money, but if you're going to that job and you're enjoying getting up every morning and you want to go there, it's not going to be a job, it's going to be something you want to do. So, you know, it's something we always set out to try and do, and I think the second you stop having fun doing what you're doing, you might as well give up, because it's never going to work.
Yeah, I think as well, like being a musician or an artist as well, it is really important to be having fun while you're making the music, because I think it comes across in the music. And people can almost like spot when it's genuine or fake, do you know what I mean? So if you're trying to do something just for the sake of making money, a lot of the time people can see through that. So just enjoy yourself and hopefully it'll work out. For me, like we've got a great relationship just as kind of mates, and that's probably one of the reasons why we've actually managed to last a distance, because I think if it was all just kind of based around the music and that was it, you probably would have struggled a little bit more along the way.
I mean, there's a lot of pressures in the music industry as a whole. There's a lot of highs, there's a lot of lows, and I think I take my hat off to any artist that does it on their own, because you know, you go through a lot of emotions, and it's quite an emotional sort of industry. And I think when you've got someone else to talk to, there's not many people. You know, when we had a #1, for example, no one else can feel the way that feels apart from Joe. You know, so I can call him up, and obviously we're on a similar sort of level. So it's quite important. I mean, for us, that's definitely like a high point of being part of Sigma, like definitely having each other.
As far as music's concerned, obviously the album is going to be coming out on the 4th of December. We're going to have a couple of singles off of that. I'm not sure exactly what the tracks are going to be. I think we're kind of just going to play it by ear and see what's kind of received the best. But yeah, you know, just a lot more touring, a lot of DJing.
Hopefully getting in the studio a lot more as well.
Yeah, that kind of stuff. So looking forward to 2016.
We just want to say thanks to all the fans and followers and supporters and friends and family and everyone that's kind of got behind us from a journey up to this point. You know, it's been a lot of fun sort of making the album, and hopefully you guys enjoy it as much as we enjoyed making it.